What's up, YouTube? It's NG, and I'm back. Today, I'm into the Samsung Unpacked event that happened, was it 2 days ago? I initially started to make a video yesterday, but things happened. I wasn't able to finish. So instead of trying to, just add on to it, I figured to just start over. So, Unpacked happened on Tuesday, February 11th, and they showcased 4 new phones. 3 of the S line and 1 of a brand new line called the Z. Now we have the Galaxy S20 and the Galaxy Z Flip. Now the S20 is going to be the device that most consumers, if they are interested in a brand new Galaxy device, will flock to. It is the quintessential update to last year's Galaxy S10. And as always, you could probably think right now what it has if somehow you missed it. It has the amazing front panel. That screen is beautiful. They upped all of the internals, the specs, the camera, the screen refresh rate, the touch input rate. So many little tweaks did they do that even though you could say it's an iterative update to the S10, it's actually a really big update. The difference in the phones, I won't say is night and day, but it is significant enough to really make you question should you go from an S10 to the S20 line. I mean, it sounds like it's 10 times or 10 devices newer, but they're just going with the year. The first 10 years, you got up to the S10. Now it's the year 2020. So their naming convention has gone to S20 to signify the new decade they're going into. So one could assume that the next S phone will be called the S21 and the S22. I don't think they'll go with the S30 because that's just they might, but it's just a name. But yeah, those phones. So the S20 series is going to start at $1,000 for the base model. Now, someone would question why such a high asking price for a base model. Well, the base model starts with what many other devices would call their high-end model. If I remember correctly, it's the Snapdragon 855 Plus chip, making it essentially 15 to 20% faster than the S10. It starts with, I think it's 128 gigs of internal storage, and I think it's between 8 and 12 gigs of RAM, and that's the base. Also, they all come with 5G. Now, 5G networks aren't as fast and as powerful as many think that they are, at least not right now. They are building out the networks over the years. People who do have 5G phones will see a significant increase in their network speed. But for right now, only certain parts of certain countries can take full advantage of 5G networks. And so if you were to purchase one of these phones, you're pretty much future-proofing yourself for when 5G does actually become more common. Now, one of the things with the 5G, at least with these phones, the Galaxy S20 and the S20 Plus, to my knowledge, only do, I think that they call it the 5mm wave. So that's the low end. To my understanding, there's 3 different levels for, I don't know if levels is the right word, but 3 different spectrums for 5G. So these phones can pick up one particular spectrum, but it's an area that is lower and more far reaching, so that you should be able to get onto a 5G band a lot easier and faster. Now, from what I've read, I don't have a 5G phone myself just yet. In peak conditions, the current 5G networks that this particular phone can pick up, and phones like it, are maybe 20% faster than a perfect 4G connection. I mean, we're very used to 4G. When you have a good connection, those download rates and upload rates are pretty good. So if this is 20% faster than the fastest 4G connection, there's something to be said about that. I mean, as long as you're in an area that does have 5G connection. Anyway, this isn't a video about that. The S lines. So the base one starts at $1,000. It's, I think, 6.5-inch screen. I think it is. I'm just doing this off the top of the head there. 855 plus chip. 120 hertz refresh rate, but only in not in quad HD. You have to lower your screen resolution to full HD to activate the 120 hertz. Apparently, it's something to do with the battery consumption and all that, which does make sense. But the phone does have the ability. And if you haven't seen high refresh rates on phones and such, I'm pretty sure you've seen them on TVs when you go into these electronic stores. The 120 hertz is what makes it move so smooth, and this phone has that ability. So if you're watching content that does support higher refresh rates or playing games and such, you will notice a difference. Things will seem to be smoother and move much faster. Okay, so of course the S20 is waterproof. It has wireless charging. It has quick charge. There's a lot there. They pretty much took everything that they had put into the S10 and the Note 10 and beefed it up just enough to make it seem more significant this time around. But the big thing is the S20 Ultra. Now that is the high end of this trio of phones. I mean, it is a beast of a device. I was just talking about the 5G. It actually has antennas for both of them, or for 2 of the 3, if it's 3. So no matter where you are, once everything is active, this thing should be able to latch onto a 5G network even better than the S20 and the S20 Plus. It has an amazing camera with 100 times digital zoom, 10 times optical zoom. It supports 45-watt fast charging. Of course, that charger doesn't come in the box, but in the box you get a 25-watt fast charger. So I mean, it's still pretty fast. It has a 6.9-inch screen, and it is beautiful. and again the 120 hertz, reverse wireless charge, waterproof. It's a really amazing device. I mean, they put a lot into that Ultra, but for all that you get, it also has a price tag to match. The base model starts at 1,400 USD. Now, 1,400 is a lot of money, no matter how you put it. But when you think about what you get, 12 gigs of RAM, 256 gigs of internal storage, with expansion, so you can actually expand that to an extra terabyte. So you'd have a terabyte and a half in your phone. Oh no, well, that's if you get the higher end model. There's one that has 16 gigs of RAM and 512 gigs of internal storage that you can add a 1 terabyte SD card to give yourself a terabyte and a half of internal storage in your phone with 16 gigs of RAM. This is laptop levels, actually more powerful than most laptops you would get if you have this device. I mean, the other devices also have expandable memory and can also get up to the 256 gigs or the 512. I think they might stop at the 256. It might be only the Ultra that goes up to the 512. But just thinking about those numbers, that's really that's a powerful machine if you go for the highest end. I mean, the high end model will run you $1,600. But if you were to do that, that thing could really be your one and only device that you need to get mostly all of your computing work done. But it still does connect to DeX, and DeX does activate a PC-like experience. So if you're into video and photography, you need to render this and write that and adjust this. That phone should be able to do it. The apps are there on mobile to do these kind of things on the go. So if you could invest in a portable screen and keyboard of some kind, that phone there would probably be better than many of the similarly priced laptops on the market today. So just saying, you have to look at the pricing of these things with not such a skewed vision as to what it is. Oh my God, it's 1,400. But what exactly are you getting for that 1,400 or that 1,600 or that 1,000, whatever the case might be? Yeah, so the S line, I was impressed. Not overly so. I mean, I can appreciate a new device, and the changes under the hood that make it better than the previous generation. Personally, I would go for a high end. If I was going for an S line for the high end S10. The main reason that I don't need that much power, the price of the S10, all the S10s dropped $150. So that there is very alluring. It's getting most of the features from the S20 line, at least what it can do. The H55 chip that is in it is the chip for last season on Android. The S20s all have the 865 chip. I think I said 855 plus before, but no, they have the 865 Snapdragon. So yes, they are more powerful. But for the average user or the semi-power user, it's more than good enough for the day to day, and even then some. Also, besides the price drop, they will, like I said, they will be getting software from the new phones, because Samsung is trying to unify all of their devices on the software front, as long as it's eligible for a software update. So I think from the S9 and up, sad for my Note 8, they should be getting the One UI 2.1 with the Android 10 perks. So almost everything the S20 can do on the software side, eventually the S10 and the Note 10 and so on should be able to do it as well. So you might be missing out on some raw computing power, but you should still be able to get most of what the S20 can do on the cheaper S10. Not the raw power, but on the software side. And one of the main features where if I was to get an S line, it would be the S10. S10 still has A headphone jack, and B, support for Samsung Gear VR. Two things very dear to my heart personally. I use Gear VR almost every week when I'm going on my trips, these field trips, whatever the case might be. In my little bag that I take my Gear VR. When they're off the bus, I throw it in, and boom, I'm in my own little world playing whatever game or watching whatever, and it's a wonderful experience. To my knowledge, the S10 was the last of the Galaxy phones to support Gear VR. Actually, if I remember correctly, Facebook killed off the the Oculus, the S? Well, whichever one was their portable one that didn't require any computer or anything else. I know they had the S, they had the Rift, they had the Go. That's what it's called. Facebook killed off the Oculus Go, and the Oculus Go was pretty much the Gear VR and phone combined into one device. So if Facebook is no longer supporting the Oculus Go, it's safe to assume that the the Gear VR, that's why Samsung stopped support for that as well, because they got their content, or a lot of it, from Oculus, because it was an Oculus device. But even, I don't know if they're gonna completely end support for it, because when I'm in a VR, there's updates and there's new games coming out and so on. So it's still really good in there. So that's just me personally. And as far as the headphone jack is concerned, I love to have a headphone jack. Just having the option. Truthfully, I don't use it as often as I used to. I don't, but there have been times where my buds would die, I can't use my over ears or whatever the case might be, where I just need to, for example, with the VR, you're not supposed to use Bluetooth. The sync isn't in line. They say use wired headphones, and though I have dongles, if I don't have to use a dongle, I'd much rather not. I plug in my Bang and Olufsen's, boom, right into the Note 8, and we are good to go. So it's little things that would make me go with the S10 more so than the S20 line. It's those small things. The headphone jack, the Gear VR, the software, so that it's getting the newer software, and the price. I'm not saying that the S20 is a bad device. It's a wonderful device. But as it stands right now, for my personal needs, I would definitely look into an S10 before looking at the S20 line. Anyway, that's it for now. This is NG, and the new S line from Samsung. This is what I'm into.